After working for over 40 years, I finally retired and bought a beautiful lake house to enjoy the peace I had earned. I thought those days of stress and betrayal were behind me. Until one afternoon, my son-in-law barged through my front door without warning. With a smug smile, he looked around my home and casually said, "My parents are moving in. We're making this permanent." I stayed silent, but what he didn't know was that every room in my house had hidden cameras recording everything, and by the end of that week, his entire world would collapse. Spent decades building my life from nothing. Long nights, missed vacations, sacrifices nobody ever saw. Also, I could retire comfortably one day. When that day finally came, I bought a quiet lake house far away from the city. It was my reward, my sanctuary, a place where I could finally breathe. My daughter visited often with her husband, but over time, I noticed something strange. My son-in-law had started acting less like a guest and more like he owned the place. He would make comments about changing furniture, redesigning rooms, even discussing property value as if it belonged to him. Then one Saturday, everything changed. He walked in carrying boxes and behind him came his parents. Without even greeting me properly, he dropped the sentence that made my blood run cold. "My parents are moving in. We talked about it. This place is big enough for all of us." Before I could answer, his mother started pointing at rooms saying, "This one will be ours. We need to make this permanent." At that exact moment, I realized they had been planning this for weeks. But here's what they didn't know. Months earlier, after hearing horror stories about family property disputes, I installed a full home security camera system. Every hallway, every entrance, every conversation, recorded. So instead of arguing, I smiled. For the next 2 days, I let them continue. They unpacked their belongings, openly discussed how I was too old to manage the property, and even joked about convincing my daughter to transfer future ownership rights. Every word, captured. Then Monday morning came. I contacted my attorney and handed over every recording. Within hours, legal notices were prepared. Unauthorized occupancy, property interference, intent to illegally establish residence. But I wasn't finished. That evening, while they were eating dinner and laughing like they had already won, a local sheriff arrived at the front door. The smile disappeared instantly. My son-in-law stood up confused while the officer calmly explained that legal action had already been filed and they had exactly 1 hour to remove every single item from my property. His mother started screaming. His father began blaming him. And then my son-in-law turned pale when I placed a tablet on the table and pressed play. There it was. Every secret conversation, every plan, every word proving they intended to steal control of my retirement home. For the first time since I met him, he had absolutely nothing to say. As I stood on my porch watching their car disappear down the road, the lake water was calm again. Just like the peace I fought so hard to earn, retirement taught me something important. Sometimes the people closest to you believe kindness is weakness. But that day, my son-in-law learned one lesson he'll never forget. Never mistake silence for surrender. Because sometimes the quietest person in the room is already 10 steps ahead.